In this video, we will be looking at the PastFX Echo Flanger, the much anticipated clone of the Electro-Harmonix Echo Flanger circuit in the most compact and pedalboard friendly form to date. Originally released in the late 70s, this revolutionary Electro-Harmonix pedal was sold under 3 different names in its first original run: the Echo Flanger, the Polychorus, and the Polyflange. All 3 of these are the same pedal internally, they just have different branding on the outside. Since the original run, it's been reissued twice, in the 90s as the Stereo Polychorus, and in the 2000s as the Polychorus XO. Both of these reissues use different circuits and components, so while they have the ability to get somewhat close to the sound of the original run, they don't replicate it perfectly, so the original 70s units have become extremely sought after. A huge part of Kurt Cobain's In Utero era sound, both in studio and live, is his use of the first run of the Echo Flanger. He used his own Echo Flanger for the recording of the In Utero album, and later used his guitar tech Ernie Bailey's Polychoruses live for the In Utero tour. Songs like Radio-Friendly Unit Shifter, Scentless Apprentice, and the live Heart-Shaped Box solo are defined by their unique Echo Flanger sounds. These are easily some of the most sought-after Nirvana guitar sounds among the fans. If you're looking to authentically recreate these sounds without spending a small fortune on a vintage unit, then the PastFX Echo Flanger is a great alternative. Internally, it is based off the original 70s Echo Flanger circuit. This is not the first Echo Flanger clone to appear on the market, but it's definitely the most pedalboard friendly. I'm personally amazed that PastFX was able to recreate this pedal in such a compact way. It has all the modes and controls as the original units do, plus more. Mode switches between slapback, chorus, flange, and filter matrix. Width sets the modulation sweep, rate controls the modulation speed, tune adjusts the delay time, and feedback controls the mix of the process signal. Where the PastFX differs and offers more control is in the blend knob. The original units have a blend switch, but with PastFX blend knob, you can now have more control over the blend of the dry and affected signal. Another notable difference is the LED mode indicator. LFO flashing for chorus and flange, and static for slapback and matrix settings. In my mind, there are 3 effects that an Echo Flanger clone needs to be able to achieve to be worthy of being put on a Nirvana pedalboard. Let's see if the PastFX Echo Flanger can nail those 3 signature sounds. For this demo, I will be using my In Utero Tour tone setup. My Kurt Cobain signature Mustang that's been modded to Skystang 1 specs is going into the PastFX Echo Flanger, going into my vintage Sans amp, which is then going into my ampless amp setup. Nirvana Paramount and 5 EQ to recreate the clean section of Kurt's Mesa Boogie Studio Pre, and that's going into my Moyer Cab 2X IR loader pedal. And I'm using an IR of a Marshall 4x12 cabinet loaded with V30 speakers, the same type of cab and speaker Kurt used on the In Utero tour. One by one, let's see how well the PastFX can recreate the 3 sought-after In Utero tour sounds. Well, there's not much to say. As you just heard, this pedal perfectly replicates the 3 In Utero polychorus sounds. It being able to replicate those sounds so flawlessly and in such a small compact package really makes it a game changer in my book. That was the slapback and chorus in action, but I also want to give you a taste of the flange and filter matrix being used in a Nirvana context. So now let's look at how Kurt used his Echo Flanger before the In Utero tour. For the next 2 examples, I'm still using the same amp setup, but you'll be seeing different guitars that better fit the timeline for these effects. Depending on who you ask, because apparently now everyone in comment sections is an expert on this subject, some will say that Kurt 100% used the filter matrix mode on the entire In Utero album, while others will tell you no, obviously he didn't use it at all at any point in the album. The reality is, you don't know unless you were physically there. All we can really do is guess and speculate, but just for fun, let's see how the filter matrix mode on this pedal can be used for some In Utero-like sounds. Last but not least, we're going to cover the flange. At the January 1993 Rio de Janeiro, Brazil show, Kurt had his Echo Flanger set to an intense and almost painful flange effect during a relentless 10-minute rendition of Scentless Apprentice. Fans have nicknamed this the jet engine effect. Up until this point in my demos, I've had the Echo Flanger going into my distortion, but now for this effect, I have the distortion going into the Echo Flanger. And for this example, I will be using my Mojo Hand Effects Colossus for the distortion. I love to use this pedal to get a beefier and frankly better version of a Boss DS2 sound. So there you have it. Not only does the PastFX Echo Flanger nail the 3 essential In Utero tour sounds, but it can also branch out and recreate the more obscure ways in which Kurt used his Echo Flanger. I've got to give a huge thank you and shout out to PastFX for sending me this brilliant prototype and for giving me the opportunity to demo and present it. To learn more about this Echo Flanger, check out PastFX's website. It'll be linked here and in the video description. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more weekly Nirvana gear videos, and I'll see you in the next one.